A deep thinker is not defined by how much they know, but by how deeply they reflect. As Aristotle once said, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Deep thinkers live in that exact space, not in the quickness of opinion, but in the patience of contemplation. They see the world not in black and white, but in subtle shades of possibility. Where others rush to answer, they linger in the question. Socrates wrote that the unexamined life is not worth living. There is something profoundly beautiful about the way a deep thinker moves through life. They do not simply live on the surface of things, they dive beneath it, swimming through layers of meaning that most people rarely pause to see. To be a deep thinker is to exist in a state of perpetual curiosity, to question everything from the nature of reality to the purpose of a single fleeting thought. It's not an easy way to live, in fact. It can be heavy, lonely, and even exhausting, but it is a life rich with insight and awareness. Psychologically, deep thinkers are wired a little differently. Their minds are constantly weaving patterns, seeking connections, and exploring meaning. This tendency often correlates with what psychologists call openness to experience, a personality trait associated with creativity, intellectual curiosity, and sensitivity to beauty. They notice details others overlook. The way light moves across a room, the weight of silence between words, the symbolism in a casual conversation. But their depth comes with a price. Because they feel and think intensely, deep thinkers often wrestle with existential anxiety. They are acutely aware of time, mortality, and the fragility of meaning. As Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." The deep thinker is forever searching for that why. And when they can't find it, they feel it deeply. This search for meaning can lead to periods of solitude. Deep thinkers often need time alone to process their thoughts and emotions. To the outside world, this solitude may look like isolation, but for them, it is essential. It's in quiet moments, the stillness of early morning, the soft hum of a night sky, that their minds find clarity. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." Deep thinkers live much of their lives in this inner awakening, constantly trying to reconcile what they feel inside with what they see outside. Yet, this very inwardness can make the world feel alien. Many deep thinkers struggle with feeling misunderstood. They might express an idea or emotion that others find too abstract, too intense, or too idealistic. The irony is that deep thinkers crave understanding more than most, not surface-level attention, but genuine resonance. They don't want to be agreed with, they want to be seen. At their best, deep thinkers bring a rare kind of wisdom into the world. They remind us that life is not just about efficiency or productivity, but about meaning. They slow down the pace of modern life, challenging the superficial culture of instant gratification and shallow scrolling. They remind us, as Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Because they analyze life from multiple angles, deep thinkers often struggle with decision-making. They see too many possibilities, too many what-ifs. Their analytical minds can trap them in overthinking, dissecting every emotion, every action, every consequence. But that same ability to perceive complexity is also what allows them to innovate, to imagine new realities, and to empathize deeply with others. Their thoughtfulness is both their burden and their brilliance. Emotionally, deep thinkers experience the world in high definition. A piece of music can move them to tears. A single sentence can echo in their minds for days. Their empathy runs deep because they don't just observe emotions, they feel them. They don't look at people as statistics or archetypes, but as whole universes of stories and contradictions. As the philosopher Blaise Pascal once said, "The heart has its reasons which reason knows nothing of." Deep thinkers understand that truth instinctively. In relationships, they crave depth over drama. They are drawn to conversations that wander into philosophy, art, and human nature. They want to understand how someone's mind works, not just what they do, but why they do it. This often makes casual or superficial relationships unsatisfying. For a deep thinker, small talk feels like eating air. They hunger for meaning. But with that desire comes vulnerability. Because they invest themselves so fully emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, they are deeply affected when things fall apart. Heartbreak, failure, or loss can send them spiraling into reflection, trying to extract lessons and patterns from pain. Yet even in suffering they find insight. As Albert Camus wrote in The Depth of Winter, "I finally learned that within me there lay an invincible summer." That is the paradox of a deep thinker, the ability to find light in darkness, meaning in chaos and beauty in imperfection. The psychology of a deep thinker is not simply about intelligence or knowledge, it's about awareness. They are attuned to the interconnectedness of things, how one small action ripples through the fabric of existence. This heightened awareness often gives them a sense of responsibility, a moral or philosophical duty to live consciously. They don't want to move through life asleep. They question societal norms, challenge authority, and rethink tradition, not to rebel, but to understand. This can make them seem detached or skeptical, but deep thinkers are rarely cynical. Their questioning is rooted in wonder. They look at the world and ask not only, how does this work? But why does it matter? As Immanuel Kant put it, science is organized knowledge. Wisdom is organized life. Deep thinkers strive for that wisdom, the kind that unites thought and being, knowledge and kindness. To nurture a mind like this requires patience. In a culture obsessed with speed, deep thinking feels almost rebellious. It demands stillness, reflection, and the courage to be misunderstood. It means taking walks without headphones, sitting in silence without reaching for your phone, reading without skimming. It's about giving your thoughts the space to stretch and breathe. If you recognize yourself in these words, if you find yourself questioning, analyzing, feeling too deeply, know that your way of being is not a flaw. It is a gift. In a world that celebrates noise, deep thinking is an act of quiet strength. It's a form of resistance against the superficial and a return to what is essential. But being a deep thinker also means learning balance. You must learn to come back up for air. To think deeply, yes, but also to live freely. To feel without drowning in feeling. To question without losing faith. To remember that while the universe is vast and complex, sometimes meaning is found in the simplest moments. A shared laugh, a walk under the stars, a breath of gratitude. As Søren Kierkegaard wrote, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. That's the ultimate paradox. The deep thinker must accept that no matter how much we reflect, life is still meant to be lived, not just analyzed. So take this as your call to action. Embrace your depth, but don't let it isolate you. Let your thoughts guide you toward empathy, creativity, and understanding. Speak your truth, even if your voice trembles. Read the old philosophers, but also write your own philosophy. Think deeply, yes, but also live deeply. In the end, being a deep thinker isn't about having all the answers. It is about daring to ask the questions that matter and allowing those questions to shape a life that is rich, thoughtful, and profoundly human.